If you're watching this video, you've likely started noticing hair loss and you're a little confused on where to start with all the conflicting and complicated information that's out there right now. Trust me, I've been there before. So in this video, I'm gonna break down where you should start, the first products you should be using in exact order of start to finish, and why you should be using them in that order, because you don't wanna jump to the most aggressive products in the beginning if you don't need them and it's not something that you're gonna wanna have to stick with. You'll often hear a lot of people say if you start researching the hair loss industry that if you're not taking Minoxidil or Finasteride or any 5-AR inhibitor, it's all just cope. And while there is some truth behind that, it's not exactly true, and it wouldn't be the first two products that I would jump on if I was starting a hair regrowth journey, especially if I was in my younger years. Now, if I was maybe already 30, sure, you could jump on it. But like I said, there are a lot of other products that you could start first and a lot of other little tweaks that you could fix. And you want to be, obviously have the least complicated, least amount of products routines on the market. And no, I wouldn't just go jump and get a hair transplant from Turkey, because likely they're gonna make you jump on a lot of these products like a 5-AR, like Minoxidil. So you might as well try them first before going and spending $5,000 on a hair transplant. So today I'm gonna be giving you a complete beginner's roadmap on these products and where you should be starting. We'll start with the gentlest, safest approaches and work our way to the heavy hitters treatments. And by the end of this video, you should have a pretty clear step-by-step plan on where you should be starting, implementing today, and regardless of your comfort level with treatments or your budget. My name is Spencer Gilmore. I'm the creator and founder of Hair Rescue. We've sold over 10,000 plus men worldwide. You can check us out, but that's not what the point of this video is. Once again, I'm not a dermatologist. Take everything you see here with a grain of salt and consult your healthcare provider, of course, with all this information, but I'm gonna try to be as honest and upfront as possible with all of the products. First things first, stop using your 3-in-1 shampoos and harsh chemical products. They are not helping your hair. I know that they're really simple and easy, but just buy a more clean and natural products. One of my favorite shampoo and conditioner brands is Carina Organics on Amazon. Yes, it's a little expensive, but they are great products. You could also do something like a Base Body Works. I think they have great products as well. Just something that is much more gentle and is not harming your hair. Your shampoo and conditioner should be helping your hair, if anything. Also, you don't need to be shampooing every single day. You can condition every day, but shampoo probably 2 times a week. You're also gonna wanna make sure that your shampoo doesn't have something called sodium lauryl sulfate. Now, there's a lot of other fancy names for these exact products, but what they are is foaming products. It helps it bubble up and foam, so it makes it feel like you're cleaning a lot, but in reality, those chemicals can be pretty detrimental to your hair follicles. And I know this might sound like a broken record, but chlorine and hard water minerals are definitely not helpful for your hair. So if you can get a shower filter, that is fantastic. You can get pretty cheap ones on Amazon. Just remember to change them out somewhat regularly, maybe like every 2 months, depending on how much you're showering. And even better, if you own a home, you can buy a whole house water softener. And this is not just gonna be good for your hair, skin, and nails. It's also great for your appliances and house in general. Definitely go and pick those out. I used to sell them when I was in my early years in college. I would go door to door and sell those whole house water softeners, and it is amazing how much better appliances and houses hold up when you're not blasting them like here in Texas with super hard water and high chlorine levels. Fix your diet and lifestyle. This is gonna be definitely a good one. Your hair, skin, and health is definitely a reflection of your inner health, and if your inner health is crap, your hair and skin are probably gonna look bad regardless of the products that you're using. I'm not talking about expensive supplements here. You don't even need to supplement, just eat real food. Your hair follicles need protein, healthy fats, vitamins to function properly. If you're living on takeout and energy drinks, this is not going to be good for your overall health, and your hair is likely going to suffer. Get some exercise, manage your stress, try to have a proper sleep schedule, aim for 7 to 8 hours of deep interrupted sleep. These basics matter much more than expensive treatments if you're not covering your fundamentals, and you can't just use Minoxidil to cover all this stuff up, because your hair will suffer regardless. And if you're the type of person who likes to track everything, you can definitely get a shower hair catcher. I don't have one, because one of the things you can do is you just look. Is your shower full of hair, or is it not full of hair? And is it getting less or more? Now, of course, you're obviously always going to be shedding hair, and it is totally natural to shed hair. With the hair life cycle, you're going to be losing hair every single day. It's just when it's handfuls and constantly coming out, if you're running your hands through your hair and you're pulling out hair, that shouldn't be happening, especially in the shower. You shouldn't be losing handfuls of hair. So you can buy a shower catcher, and if you're someone who's a very type A person and wants to actually look at this stuff and measure it, because what's measured can be improved, you can get a shower hair catcher. It's not necessary, but like I said, if you want it, go for it. So those are your first things you need to be doing. That's just covering your basics to living a healthy lifestyle and giving yourself the best possible chance of having healthy hair. Now, of course, your hair can still fall out, and that's when it comes to your genetics, because we can't always control it. But these are the products that I would be starting with once you've gotten all those taken care of. Dermastamp. These are gonna be great. No real negatives here unless you're just using it way too often. Buy one. You can buy electric, you can buy a derma roller, you can buy a Dermastamp. Doesn't really matter. Use this 1 to 2 times per week. It's one of the safest and most effective products that you can do and add to your routine, and really just makes all these other products that you're going to use more effective. What the microneedling does is it makes micro injuries and stimulates growth factors and improves absorption of anything else you're applying topically. It's uncomfortable, but it's not painful. So don't be afraid of that. And the results usually speak for themselves, and I can attest to this. It definitely helps make growth stimulants like Minoxidil much more effective. Next thing, and I think everyone should really be using this, is a ketoconazole-based shampoo. It is a DHT blocking shampoo with anti-inflammatory properties and virtually no side effects here. You can get Nizoral, which is an over-the-counter, really inexpensive version of it, but it's not the best shampoo and sometimes can leave your scalp a little bit dry. Or you can invest in premium options like Intelligent brands if you want. I know I really like their ketoconazole-based shampoos, and you can also even bump it up and go to your dermatologist and get a prescription strength option. Now, if you're someone who has aggressive androgenic alopecia, that might be a better option, because if we can use the highest strength stuff, we probably should be. Use this 2 to 3 times a week and let it sit on your scalp for at least 5 minutes before rinsing. So if you're gonna get in the shower, immediately put it in, or wet your head, scrub it in, and then get in the shower. This is probably the safest DHT blocking treatment that you can use and has been shown to be at least decently effective. So start there. Next, we're gonna get into our natural hair growth stimulants. These are, essential oils and caffeine products. Now, there's a lot here that I didn't mention, but I'm talking about the ones that have actually got some clinical studies done on PubMed to show that they are almost as effective as using low-dose minoxidil, which includes peppermint oil, rosemary oil, and topical caffeine, have all been shown to be effective as low-dose minoxidil in some studies, and even more effective than low-dose minoxidil. That's the growth products that are natural that I would start with. And also, you don't just buy these essential oils, you're going to need a carrier oil with it. Jojoba oil is a great option. So you mix a few drops of peppermint or rosemary oil with a carrier oil like jojoba oil, apply 2 to 3 times per week, and for caffeine, you can buy some caffeine serums, pretty effective. These won't give you, really dramatic results, but they're completely safe and can provide modest improvements. And the goal of all these products is to use the least amount of things possible. So you start, your diet and exercise, then you get into the microneedling devices, and then you get into your ketoconazole-based shampoos, and then you get into your essential oils and natural remedies, using them in chronological order, giving them ample time to work, which means 1 to 3 months to really see if they're being effective at all. Now, you can obviously jump these things in together, or you stop once you notice that it stops your hair shedding. The goal is to use the least amount of products possible. We don't want to jump on the heavy hitters immediately when ketoconazole shampoo would have done the trick, or just fixing your diet, sleep, and exercise routine. Because a lot of people suffer from hair related from stress, from poor diet, things like that. And they didn't need to jump on Minoxidil and Finasteride, but they did anyway, and now they're kind of hooked on it. Other proven natural compounds. This one is, it's a pharmaceutical grade natural product called Procapil. Procapil is where is a natural treatment, and you can start getting a little more serious. In clinical trials, it increased hair growth by 58% with little to no side effects. It's a patented complex with 3 natural ingredients that work by improving blood circulation, strengthening hair follicles, and reducing inflammation. You can find it in high quality serums, apply it directly to your scalp. This is probably your best natural option if you want something with real clinical backing, but don't want to use pharmaceuticals yet. So that's kind of where I would start. Now, obviously, I didn't mention everything. I have a lot of other stuff in some other videos that I didn't mention here, like castor oil, rice water, pumpkin seed oil, saw palmetto, GHKCU, copper peptides. All of those things are other products that you could use, but most of them don't have any PubMed clinical trial backing behind them, so that's why I just mentioned those 3, and then Procapil. I think those are all great options and where you should be, trying. And of course, you can use those all together, or you can stop using those and just use one together, but I think all of these are okay to be used together. All right, now we're gonna get into more of the heavy lifting, and this is where people say you need to be using these or everything else is just cope. But if you've tried all of these other products and it's still just getting way worse and nothing's getting better, for a man with androgenic alopecia or a woman with androgenic alopecia, because women can use all of these products as well, we're gonna get into Minoxidil. This is your first real pharmaceutical treatment. When natural treatments aren't enough, Minoxidil is usually your first pharmaceutical intervention, and personally, I prefer the foam version rather than the oral or liquid topical version. It's less greasy and causes less scalp irritation for me personally. Men, you can start with 5% strength, and ladies, I think you can start with 5% strength as well. You don't need to be using the 2-3%. You can also consider the oral Minoxidil, but topical is, I think it's a little bit safer for beginners. You're gonna be using this every single day, twice a day, because the goal is to maintain a 70% scalp saturation when using it. However, Minoxidil is not a 5-AR inhibitor and does not lower your DHT levels. And one of the main culprits of androgenic alopecia and hair loss in men is DHT. Now, it's really weird because DHT can improve hair growth everywhere else in the body, but on the top of the scalp, it tends to make your hair loss worse. Side effects with minoxidil are pretty minimal, and I think because it is an FDA approved treatment, minimal for most people. Of course, there are some side effects, I'm not gonna mention them here, but scalp irritation and unwanted body hair growth is the most common, but still rare. Scalp irritation can happen, but it usually goes away with time, and I think it's something that you probably shouldn't be wary of, especially that's why I use the foam version. I think it tends to cause less scalp irritation because of the carrier agents that they use. So minoxidil, I would try that before things like finasteride. Next thing leading into it would be your 5-alpha reductase inhibitors. And this is going to be doing the bulk of the heavy lifting. And I think everyone should try this if they've already used all the other ones, especially if you're someone who has androgenic alopecia, you are likely going to have to use this. But all those other things can be in addition to this, or can be used as standalone before 5-AR inhibitors like finasteride. These are the treatments that are actually going to address the root cause of male pattern baldness, that DHT production like I mentioned. Starting with a low dose oral finasteride, 0.5 milligram or even 0.25 milligrams daily. You can bump that all the way up to 5 milligrams. I would think most people will get away with 1 milligram, maybe use it every day, but you can use those 0.5 milligram or 0.25 milligrams. You don't need to jump all the way straight to 1 milligram first. Many people see good results with that lower doses and fewer side effects. On top of this, topical finasteride is another option if you're concerned about the systemic side effects. It is less researched and actually FDA only approved oral finasteride, but it may reduce side effects. And when they were studied side by side, after about the 6-month mark, they tended to give about the same results, but oral finasteride tended to perform quicker than topical finasteride. Now, if finasteride is giving you side effects or is not giving you the results you're looking for, and you've bumped it up to potentially even 5 milligrams daily, you could try things like dutasteride. For some reason, some people say that they don't get the same side effects on dutasteride. I don't know. Dutasteride is likely going to stop your hair loss. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you. Dutasteride is the nuclear option that is going to probably reduce your circulating DHT levels in your body by 90 to 99%, whereas finasteride usually reduces it by about 70%. So you're gonna reduce it a lot, but not all of it. Dutasteride tends to just completely blow it out of the water. Very nuclear option for reducing DHT in the body. And it also blocks type 1 and type 2 conversion. It does stay in your system a lot longer. Its half-life is like 4 or 5 months, so it's a very long time. I personally think oral dutasteride is much more effective when taken orally than topically. I know some people use topical, but how it is dissolved in the body, it really needs to be in like a fatty acid liquid. So using it orally in that form rather than like a dry powder too is better, and I would definitely go to your doctor for this one. But dutasteride will likely stop your hair loss. It's just gonna be whether or not you get side effects and you're okay and your body tolerates it fine. So, good option. I've never used dutasteride because I suffered from side effects of finasteride, and I'm assuming that I would just likely get side effects and it's gonna be in my body a lot longer, but I may end up trying it one of these days, who knows. Next thing, these are still experimental compounds. None of these are FDA approved yet, but they have been shown to be very effective, and they have a different side effect profile because they have different mechanisms of action than 5-AR inhibitors. These are your topical anti-androgens, and they include RU5-8841, pyrolutamide, and Breezula, which is CB0301. I'll just start with RU5-8841. This is a powerful topical anti-androgen. Some people report cardiac side effects of it, so you can use it at your own risk. However, it's been around since the 1980s and has been used by hundreds of thousands of men worldwide, and I would say it is got a side effect profile that is similar to that of finasteride. People report a ton of side effects in finasteride and fearmonger the hell out of it. I think you should try it before topical anti-androgens, but you can use topical anti-androgens in addition to 5-ARs. You can use them together, or you can use them as standalones, but I would try the 5-ARs as they are FDA approved and have a lot of studies behind them. Now, the difference between these 3 topical anti-androgens is pyrolutamide and CB0301, Breezula, have more clinical studies done on them than RU5-8841, but I think RU is a little bit stronger. Pyrolutamide is supposedly safer than RU5-8841, but is still unproven in large-scale human trials. Currently in clinical trials is CB. Shows promise, but not clinically and commercially available yet for outside of research settings. It tends to not go systemic as well, according to a lot of the clinical data, so it could be much safer than the other 2, and it's actually something I've thought about potentially using here soon. Maybe even adding it to the Hair Rescue lineup. We might start selling all 3. I cannot stress this is enough. Of course, these are experimental compounds with a slightly unknown safety profiles, but all of them have been around for quite some time now, and people aren't dying from them. They are just something that is an option as well. Now, after this, you have your surgical options. If you've been using all of these, or you're going to do this In addition, you likely have to use a lot of these products first, which is your PRP injections and your hair transplants. You can get a platelet-rich plasma injections involving drawing your blood, concentrating the platelets, and injecting them into your scalp. Results are mixed, and it is expensive, and you need multiple sessions for it to become effective. It's not something that you can just do one time. Consider this only if you have the financial means and have tried other treatments first, because these PRP injections can be anywhere from $1,000 to $2,000 every single time you do it, and you have to go twice a month or once a month. So very expensive options, but if you have the financial means to do it, you can. And then a hair transplant. Now this is really the last option that you have on your list, because oftentimes when you get a hair transplant, you have to be taking finasteride and minoxidil or dutasteride to get the hair transplant. A lot of people don't know this. They just say like, I'm gonna let it go and then go get a hair transplant. It's like, no, you have to be taking those 5-ARs, or they will tell you to take them, because if you don't, the hair follicles will likely not take to the scalp, depending on the treatment you get. A lot of people have to go back as well for a second or third touch-up. I know you see the miraculous before and afters. Trust me, those guys were on 5-AR inhibitors and minoxidil, and they were probably using it for a while before they got the hair transplant, and they had a really great surgery. You know, 15% of people, 20% of people are the hyper responders to the hair transplants. Most of the scalp insertions or hair follicle insertions take to the scalp, and they don't need a touch-up. But hair transplants can be pretty life-changing, and they do tend to be pretty effective, but they are pretty expensive. A lot of people fly to Turkey, go to Mexico for these, go overseas because they're cheaper than America. I'd recommend it in America if you can do it. You can get great transplants here, usually more effective than going to Turkey, but they are a lot more expensive here. They do require some recovery time. Usually you don't see the fruits of your labor till 6 months to a year, and work best when combined with those medical treatments like I mentioned before. This is for people who have exhausted all the other options and have realistic expectations about what the treatment can look like. One thing that I didn't mention in here is red light caps. You can use that at any level. You could use that as the very first step. They're just a little bit more expensive. I have a red light cap. I use it. I think it helps. Clinical studies have shown it to improve hair growth by about 34%. So have at it. I think it's a great thing to use. Virtually no side effects. You just have to use it like 5 times a week for like 30 minutes. So you can use it at night, in the morning, etc. whenever you're at home. But they are a little bit expensive, and it's one thing I didn't recommend immediately because they're like $1,000 for a good one. Level 7 here. This is one that I just like to say, acceptance. The shave your head option, or just stop worrying about it. Wear hats more often. Sometimes the best treatment is just no treatment. Shaving your head can be incredibly liberating and save you thousands of dollars and mental energy. Now, we might not all look like Jason Statham or Joe Rogan, The Rock, or Andrew Tate even, because all these guys are considered good-looking men that are bald, but many women find confidence more attractive than hair. And there are plenty of successful people out there who are bald and very attractive and good looking, and they just said screw it, because unfortunately you can do all the right things, be extremely healthy, and your genetics just say you're gonna go bald. So it doesn't really matter. It's unfortunate because you can have high stress, you can have poor diet, you can have health issues, and all of these can affect the game, but they don't change the rules of the game. So don't let your hair loss consume your life and define your self-worth. Sometimes the healthiest thing you can do is just accept it and move on. It's unfortunate, but having no hair when you're 80 doesn't really matter. You just want to keep it maybe like you're 40 when you find a wife, maybe you have some kids. At that point, it's like, you know, they love you for who you are. If to wear hats more often, doesn't matter. I would do everything in your power to not go bald. I think having hair looks better than no hair. But hey, if you want to shave it, maybe shave it early when you still have hair and you can really test it real quick and be like, do I look okay bald? Who knows? But yeah, this has been the complete beginner's profile, and all of these products I would be using in chronological order and starting from there. A quick timeline breakdown from month 1 to 2. This is kind of your foundation, and I will say this again real quick as a summary. Switch to gentle hair products, install a shower filter, optimize diet and lifestyle, start using a Dermastamp 1 to 2 times a week, and add ketoconazole-based shampoo 2 to 3 times a week. Month 3 to 4 is gonna be your natural boost. These are gonna be considering adding rosemary and peppermint oil treatments. Consider using Procapil, and you could maybe increase the dermastamping to twice a week here. Evaluate and decide, assess your results from these natural products at month 5 to 6. If you're not satisfied, consider using Minoxidil, and even research and talk to your dermatologist and doctor about using things like Finasteride and dutasteride if you decide that you're going to need it. Once again, allow Minoxidil to work its way, but it will likely won't stop hair loss. It just helps grow hair faster. Month 7 plus, pharmaceutical interventions here. You could start with low dose Finasteride if needed. Consider using your natural treatments as well, and monitor for side effects. And then of course after that you can try the experimental anti-androgens, go for a hair transplant if it's financially in your budget, and you can even use PRP injections with all of this, or shave it off like I mentioned, and just accept it. The key to treating hair loss as a beginner is starting gentle and building up. You want to use the least amount of products possible, and you don't need to jump straight to Finasteride and Minoxidil. Like I mentioned, a lot of people say that is cope if you're not using it. But although they are the most effective options for most people, they are not the first options you should be doing. Let me know if this helped you at all. Please like and subscribe. Follow the channel for more hair loss videos. Leave a comment of what you'd like to see me talk about next. This is just one of the most common things that I get asked on my Instagram and my TikTok and on my YouTube channel is just people saying like, I'm 18, I don't know where to start, what products should I be using? I've researched so many things, I'm scared of side effects, etc. This is the, month 1 to the end of your first year timeline, the product you should be using. You can use almost all of these together, but you should definitely give everything ample time to see if it's working for you, and you don't have to start with the pharmaceuticals first. There are plenty of other products that I've seen tremendous results with from people that didn't end up using Finasteride and Minoxidil because they realized they just had high stress and a bad diet, and they used ketoconazole-based shampoos, etc., and a little bit of rosemary oil, and they're like, bam, I didn't even need it. And people come to me and they say, they're like, I want to buy your hair rescue product with RU5 and Minoxidil, and I'm like, whoa, what have you done first? Have you used anything yet? And they're like, no, I've never done anything. And I'm like, okay, well, let's start with a couple of these products first, and even try Finasteride first, and then you can try hair rescue. So hopefully that will give you a little bit of a roadmap for where you should be beginning, the product you should be using, and the timeline for when to expect results. I will see y'all in the next video. Peace out.